Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for today's video. I wanted to talk to you about narcissists and their manipulations. So let's jump in. So the narcissist is very heavy in their manipulations. When you're in a relationship with them, they have a way of course, isolating you, putting you in stasis. They stop everything in your life from one day to the next. Maybe before the relationship, you would see progression, steady progression of growth in your life. But when the narcissist comes into your life, you'll find shortly thereafter you are in a place of stasis, like I've described as a mucky pond. You're fogged up. You can't make any clear decisions. There's nothing but confusion. You feel weak, drained, and unmotivated, manipulated, convinced that you can be turned either this way or that way, depending on what comes in. This is the spirit that comes with narcissism, because you are a person built on truth and they are not. And because you have agreed to go into covenant with this individual or these individuals, it first starts by you letting individuals like this into your home. These are all agreements, covenants, and consents. You have free will, so you approved of it. They get you convinced to love them and trust them. And they give you this shadow they portray for you of this way of life you're going to have, this fantasy, future fake. At the time before you woke up, the family you grew up in, you were groomed a certain sort of way. If you didn't become a narcissist, you might be an avoidant, you might be a scapegoat, a black sheep. Those are usually the ones not narcissists, but they come with a certain sort of grooming, the invisible child, or the prankster, the joker, the one who understands and sees the idiosyncrasies, the progression of the manipulation and destruction in their attempt to promote joy, to balance it out. They become a comedian because that's their way out. The avoidant gets damaged to the point to where they just shut up and they have a hard time being vulnerable, which looks very close to what a covert narcissist looks like, because in their unhealthy ways, they're very similar in their actions, but with not necessarily the same intent. Hurt people. And I can accept hurt people. What I can't accept are manipulators. So I just want to go over quickly what the family dynamic as a child could look like, because over time, of course, we rose to adulthood, acquired families of our own. But a lot of times we perpetuate from one generation to the next culture. Culture, that's what we call it. I like to just call it cult, because that's really what it is. I have a problem with culture is there's a lot of pride involved. We do it better than them. We cook better than them. We eat different stuff. Ooh, I don't like that. We're cleaner than they are. Or we make more money than they do. We're far more genetically savvy than them. We're more intelligent than those. And this is how we do things. And you have to be a part of this religion or that religion, or you see where I'm going? It's being critical. What is that? That's narcissism. That's control. That's a very rigid way of thinking. And control is to instill in a person that if you don't do what I do, you are wrong. And there's circumstances to that. You will be obsolete from the family unit. You will be ghosted and abandoned. You will be shamed and ridiculed. Self-righteousness. It's okay to promote those things if that's what you truly believe. If you truly believe that. Individuals are going to do what they're going to do. Control just leads to dysfunction. A lot of times people have wrong ways about them, and it leads to abuse. And I think a problem that we all face in this world today is we're always trying to force things upon individuals. And that's not fair. When dealing with narcissism, when we wake up to things, for the empath and a scapegoat, the invisible child, maybe the joker, the comedian, and even the narcissist. We have a certain pair of glasses on that are tinted just a certain way. It gives us just a way of looking at life from a certain angle, from being hurt for years and years. So we walk away with perceptions. Maybe the narcissist has some purple tinted glasses on that gives them a certain kind of look from their perspective. The empath has the rose colored glasses on. We need to really be looking at it from a 2020 perspective with no shade. Objectively, what it is. And the problem that occurs in families today, they promote a idolization, an imaginary fantasy type world of what everything looks like. And they claim it is from their perspective, but that's a lot of times not always true. In most cases, especially in these families, it's a double standard. It's you promote one thing in the house and then outside the house, things may be different. Or you have a certain type of values. Or you may have a certain type of religion. It may be something with some sort of ethnicities or something, there's always different aspects to this. You should have a transparency of aspects that you see in the house as you do outside the house, all the way through your life. We should promote character. We have gone down the road of promoting an idolization coming from the hierarchy of the family. And to have your children reflect that. You want them to fit this mold. This is a hard topic to speak on because you have opinions, and your opinions run deep. But again, I like to say that you have to look at things from different aspects and different perceptions and find the righteous judge in the whole thing, even if it goes against your religious beliefs or your personal beliefs. I personally believe, and I don't know if I've ever expressed this, but that you should bring your family up and be the best example that you can be of what you truly believe in your heart. And your heart should always align with your mind and your spirit. To live passionately for those values. Not control a child's birthright. Allow a child to control their own birthright with your guidance. Because if you're passionate about what you believe in, let's say it's a religious aspect, then come at them with real passion, a way of understanding, or knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. If you truly believe whatever it is, a personal belief or a religious belief, then if they're going against that, discuss it with them. Ask them, what makes you want to believe that way? If I am your leader in the household, for instance, ask them the critical questions. If you truly know your faith or have these personal beliefs and values for yourself, are you living them? That's my first question. Are you living them? If you believe in monogamy, are you living it? Or do you just believe it? Are you living it? Or do you just say it? Do you just build a facade about it? This is the problem. See, this is what I'm getting at. This is what you're dealing with in the world today. And then when these children become 18 and older, where they should be able to take hold of their own birthright and control it with independence now, because now they're an adult. You still will try to control them. You still have your grip on them. And if you don't listen to me, you can't be part of the family. If you go off on a different religion, or if you believe this or do this, you can't be part of me. And sometimes if it's bad enough, that's going to be the case. Just because you have a child doesn't mean that child's going to be in your life forever. Just because you have a relationship with somebody that you cared about doesn't mean it's appropriate for you. These are things you need to talk about more. We have a child and we think we need to control their every thought and motive. But when they were growing up, were you a very good example? Or did you have just a facade and an idolization, an ideal way of what you wanted those people outside the doors to believe? Or were you living it with transparency? Were you showing them love? Were you asking them those questions? Because those questions would show that you're passionate and you're actually living it, unless you feel convicted or ashamed because you're not doing it. You're not living it, but you expect your children to live it and obey. This is where the disconnect comes from, where all the dysfunction comes from out here. You want your children to obey you and live this ideal, perfect lifestyle that you expect from them, and you portray in the house, but not out there. Or you portray out there, but not in the house. So what are they going to do? They're going to do the same thing, and it may be worse. They may get increasingly more lax than you were. Do you know what I think? I think the empath is here, especially the woke ones, not the unawoke, not the ones that grew up in toxicity and stay in toxicity, but the ones that wake up. Why the world gives us all these personal names like the Chosen One or the Star Seed or the whatever. It's because it's not very common, y'all. It's just not very common in this world we live in today. And to the rest of the world, you're a unicorn. And maybe that may be true. But let's not get it twisted. Everybody should live this way. But the standards have gotten so degraded, demoralized. And then you wonder why people don't want to live anymore, unalive. Well, what makes you live? If all the standards that you've been taught were just a facade for outside the home, for others. But when you got behind closed doors, you turned into an evil demon. You may not like your child's religion or culture person that they choose when they grow up and leave the house, their ways. But you have to accept that. But the problem is, I don't think people want to accept that because they weren't transparent and they didn't lead by the example that they wanted their child to live by. So when their child gets older and becomes increasingly wayward or goes against their religion or their way of thinking, well, maybe that's because you weren't passionate enough to walk in it and to be transparent in your love to the family and be authentic and vulnerable, to have heartfelt conversations with your child when they had discrepancies. Instead, you just told them to do what you're told, or I'll hit you, or I'll ground you for, a month, or just do it. Can we talk about it? No, don't think, do it. Or if they have an outrageous thought that's kind of weird to you, you shame them. Like you can't even have an appropriate conversation about it. Children are going to have, and young adults are going to have things come up in their life where they're going to come out with a topic that scares you to death. But if you don't get close to your children and want to get to know them, get vulnerable with them, and express why you believe the way you do, and what makes you think this way, and can we discuss it? To some degree, if you would treat a child as a young adult, it may help in the future, and they may have more respect for you. I just want to talk about these things because you see individuals as you increasingly get older and you've been in relationships or toxic relationships. So for me, I want to look at the etiology of it. Where did it all derive from? And a lot of times I don't want to look at a book because when you start going down these roads of other people's thinking, it may be convincing, but it may take you away from the authentic, natural understanding of what it was meant to be. So I guess I would consider myself not absolute, but more of a free thinker, but a deep thinker. Because you can follow these books forever, y'all, and all you see in the world today is more mayhem, destruction, more police on the streets, more wars, envy, lying, deceit, and cheating, less and less vulnerability and transparency. And I don't think we've gotten anywhere. For instance, some sort of matriarchal type individual that has to control, say, the son, and then the son has to control the wife, and they're controlling everybody as a power struggle. Like, that's not fair either. When somebody gets married, you're supposed to detach from your parents, okay, and have an independent situation. You're also supposed to love each other. And people get this wrong. I do believe the man is the head of the household. So in that aspect, in retrospect, I am maybe what people would say more conservative or more traditional in my thinking on that. But I don't think in the traditional necessarily or conservative fashion completely, because I am a free thinker. And I do believe things should be more natural. The dysfunction always comes when we put power, control, and authority and don't allow people to have free will. Yeah, you can have it up in here, but you should also be in an environment where you can make your own independent decisions. What it says in the word is a husband is supposed to be the head of the household, and you're supposed to be together, and you're supposed to disconnect from your family unit, your parents, because now you're supposed to be a man and a woman. And a lot of people don't do that. They let them parents control them. But when you join together, and now you're supposed to be adults, a family. They have a family, you have a family. They have a family, you have a family. And that's your boundary for that. Now, the family is not supposed to, your parents and their parents are not supposed to intrude on your unit unless you're outrageously horrible and abusive, or you go to them for counsel. But that's not what you see a lot of times. And the biblical narrative is like with the man at the head of the house is to say, yes, he may make the final decision, and you should be a breadwinner. You may not make the most money in the house, but you should be a breadwinner, meaning you should be able to make enough to supply the needs for the family unit. You just have to give your amount of fuel. You're 100% and they're 100%, because that could be incrementally a little different in the combination. Because a family unit could work like a combination lock. Only you guys know what works. But there's a lot of dysfunction, man. So a lot of people would use that term in a manipulative way, and that's not fair either. But I'm talking from a righteous standpoint. That's why a lot of times people shouldn't get involved in other people's relationship. When it says man should be the head of the household, it's also saying that if you guys are equally yoked when you get together, meaning you have the same ideals, beliefs, then that's where the equally yoking starts. That means you can drive the plow together. You're going in the same direction. You're not pushing against each other. One's not trying to go forward, the other's trying to go back. The plow is steadily moving, and it's going in a straight line together. That's equally yoking. The yoke would be what's around the ox's neck. There's 2 oxen with a yoke around it. And you can't have the 2 oxen going different ways. How the hell are you going to plow the field? You can't. People love to say what equally yoking is, but a lot of people don't even know what it's talking about. It's so you can plow the field and you can be hitting at the same drumbeat, going in the same direction and understanding the same vision. To be fruitful, you should always be drawing at fruit, not finance and money and something out of lust. Your shadow self is over here, or you're living in your shadow self. You're lying to each other. Fake facade, fake facade. Be careful how much you keep in secret between your partner, because that's never good. You'd first be equally yoked, and the man would love the woman so much that he would try to supply all of her needs in an equally yoked relationship, not in a manipulative one. This is with a woman of truth and a man of truth. And it's not like they're pushing for control and power and tugging, but they're together, moving forward together in one accord. You see this? It's in one accord. This is tugging. You can't do that. That's what everybody's doing, because they got their values off. They got distant with the things that mattered. They lost their passion. But that the man would love the woman so much, he would just want to love her to death, give her everything he could, respect her and love her, provide for her, comfort her. And maybe it would seem like he's giving all his power to her. But then the woman loves the man so much that she does the same thing back, and it pushes it right into the middle. What does it do? It joins you tightly and knitly together, knitly tight together. See, this is also in one accord. It can't be broken. And it goes this way together and that way together, whichever way. Because I love you. So, that's my message for today. I hope it hits home, and I hope it helps somebody out there. Till next time, soldier up. Stand tall, love y'all. Peace out.